What's up, guys? I'm going live a few minutes early because BNL is sound checking and doing their little, what do you call it? You know, a sound check party with their fans. So I thought I'd show you. And I was going to ask you to just give me a little feedback on the audio. I've got the echo cancellation off, so it should be much better than last week. I've got the mic gain set to automatic. So just anybody, if you hear any distortion, just tell me. Just want to know. Dropout too. Try and find the strongest Wi-Fi back here. It's not great today. It gets better down here. I think it might be better on stage right, the Wi-Fi strength. So we're gonna give that a check here. Consider this sound check and video check. The first couple minutes. I had pretty good reception. It ain't great on this side of the stage either. Well, that looks a little better. Seem okay? 2 bars out of 3 service here, so. Yeah. So yeah, I think if I stick on this side of the stage, I'm cool. Which is perfect, because that's where my stuff is. Well, while we're here, look at all these nice guitars. B&O Guitar World. These are these amps that Kevin uses. That are made in Ohio somewhere, and supposedly they're kind of like deluxes, but I've never seen them before. They look really cool. Those are the ISO cabs you can see back there. You can see the orange in the cabinet, but then there's also the 2 behind there, and they're actually just 112s, kind of mounted at an angle. I might have shown that last week, but anyways, kind of interesting. And those are what those 2 amps are going to there. Go by the drum, says Joe. Yeah, I know it might be loud. So, how's the sound so far? Everything seemed cool? Ben says very cool. Lots of gear. What are the amps called? Keith. What are those amps called from Ohio? Those Wavelength? And the guy's in Cincinnati or something? Yeah, Wavelength out of Cincinnati. Gordon Rankin? Yeah, Wavelength fans. They look cool. They sound good too. Yeah, I was just telling folks they're like out of Ohio and they're kind of like deluxes, right?
Yeah. You kind of custom voice depending on different tubes and normal people do. So.
Right.
But pretty good. And he also does we call it Dragonfly audio sticks. So
Dragonfly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Same guy.
I know those. Yeah. It's like a little like audio. Yeah.
Sound
Cool.
card.
Dragonfly sound card. Right. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Cool. Interesting. Awesome. Peter says your hair grows quick. It's the humidity, man. Got some humid hair going this week. So it seems like the stream, I got a YouTube window open too, and it seems like it's pretty good, maybe a little intermittent. So we'll do the best we can this week. I'll get out of this zone because I'm competing with Ed. His mic. Let's see, where's a good place to go? It's hot as hell out here, but I don't want to go in the dressing room because maybe the internet won't be as good. Let's see what's going on back here. Set up on a road case, maybe. So how's everybody? What's happening? What are you guys talking about this week? I noticed last week after the stream that I'd left the audio, what do they call it, echo cancellation on in the StreamYard software, which is a rookie move. I'm not above admitting my mistakes, that's for sure. Better than last week, says Joe. Good. Yeah. Well, hopefully it hangs in there. We don't get dropouts and stuff. What did we do this week? We were in Georgia yesterday. The day before that, we were Wilmington, North Carolina, and it's been fun. We're just out having a good time. Having a good time. Paul says I'm on the other coast. Where are you today? So today's St. Augustine, Florida. So that's, I guess we're not too far from Orlando. And tomorrow we will head back up. This is as far south kind of as we get, at least on the back half of this run. And we start heading up, play, I believe, Philly, and we end up in Ohio, and Pine Knob at the end, last date with these fellas, which is Michigan. So, yeah. Aspen City had to buy a new phone this week, which always sucks. But at least you get a new one, get all the new features and all that.
Oh yeah.
The taco truck catering situation looked effing rad. Yeah, it was great. That was in New Hampshire. That was a really fun day. Every now and then you get a venue that's really exceptional when it comes to this. One's great, actually. They got nitro cold brew on tap in catering, so that's not bad. Which is necessary for today. It's delicious, actually. That'll keep us fired up all day. We'll play the 45-minute set in 30. Ian got some Waza Air headphones. Those are cool. I've got a set of those. They're pretty neat. They're kind of spatial thing that they do, What's we got here? Gonna try and catch you in Philly, says Music is Life. Let's see if the guys from the Duran camp wants to join me. One of the guys. Cool. Come on out. Last week was great fun. I felt like I have in the past on the side of the stage waiting for my band to go on. Yeah. Well, today will be the same, but with better sound, hopefully. Should be. Home next week. Yeah, in about a week, just a little over a week. I think it's like 9 days, something like that. And I'm back. Got a bunch of work to do once I get back home. Some amp videos, some pedal videos to make. All kinds of stuff.
Rain just came.
Oh, I guess it's raining. Did I just hear that? So that'll be maybe a delay on our sound check. Hi, how you doing?
How are you?
Good. Drinking the cold brew. Are we going to sound check later? Yeah, well, when the rain happens, generally speaking, we get delayed. Especially if there's lightning and stuff, so it just depends. Yesterday we had a long delay, just kind of did a quick line check because of rain. It's a really severe rain at sound check time yesterday, but then it cleared up for the gig. Boost the feedback control on PT100 to get more into modded JCM 800 a la Motley Crue. I usually run around 4 with presence around 6. Yeah, I was just talking about this with John yesterday. It's all interactive. So the feedback circuit is interactive with the presence, with the depth. So the switchable depth, feedback, presence, you want to play with them all to get to the place. Hey, there he is again. It's Jim Cregan.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Pete, how you doing?
Time for that live stream again. Can you believe a week has passed already?
Is this your Sunday Live?
This is my Sunday Live.
Hi, everybody.
It's Ed and Jim.
Hands down, best kisser on tour right here.
Yeah, straight up.
Thanks very much. Appreciate that. See you guys. Those guys are always fun and a pleasure. You're awesome.
When you're kissing both the setup again.
All right, I'm gonna F with. That was the tour manager. So you can see the vibe out here. There's Sam. Oh, is it rain? Holy jeez. It's getting crazy. It sounds like torrential downpour outside. How's the tour gear working out for you? Awesome, actually. Like, fantastic. I was going to show you guys today, Sean Hurley is now using my Amped 1 from Black Star because his SVT blew a fuse. So they're going to try and change the fuse in it, but I'm like, it's probably going to just blow again. You know, I don't know if you want to rely on it or if you want to order a new set of tubes, but try and find 6550s or KT88s these days. That's a tough call. Can be. So, anyways. So I was going to show you what he's doing because he's running the Black Star Amped 1 little pedal amp off to the side of his big 810 SVT cabinet. Plugged them in with it 2 days ago and carried on. That's what he's using now because SVT died. Right?
Huh?
Right?
What?
That's Seth, our tour manager. Seth, our tour manager, likes to order a lot of tacos every now and then.
Yes.
So I'm going to do my best impression of you. I just ordered 50 tacos.
That's pretty good.
Yeah? You said it.
Pretty good. I just ordered 50 tacos.
Yeah, I think I got it down.
Good work.
But yesterday was Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yes, we've moved to Buffalo Wild Wings because
Yeah.
it's the right thing to do at the moment.
It's the right thing. It's the right call.
It feels right. It's got a good vibe.
Yeah, it's a step up, actually.
Yeah.
I think, from Taco Bell.
Just a yeah.
I've been eating...
Shout out.
I've been eating fast food in like probably like going on 15 years, except for when he orders Taco Bell to the bus, and
Glad to help
I have a week.
The world of Pete Thorn.
Yeah. It's not good for my health to be out here. I just got a 900 SLX. Ever try one? You know, that is an amp that I've always been curious about, to be honest. And it's one that I look for in reverb every now and then. And if one came up, I would pull the trigger and try it because it's supposed to be the one really great 900 with a unique kind of thing going on. I would like to get one and maybe, you know, see if it sounds great as it is, or if there's anything that, you know, it's the, you know, with having John Sir and Friedman and these guys these days, we can have them look at it and say, would you do anything to make it, you know, even more? But it seems like a kind of one of those sleeper amps. So how do you like it, William? I'd be interested in what you think. I'm getting the EVH delay on Tuesday or Wednesday. I also have the Eventide H90. You talked about putting the delay in the loop of the H90 to get the delay in between the processors on the 90. Oh, you can look in the, it'll show you in the manual how to do it, how to hook it up in the manual for the 90. Various hookup, you know, basically the 90, it's almost like having two H9s in one pedal, and there's ins and outs that allow you to patch into the first one, come out, go into something, go out of that, back into the second one. So it's pretty straightforward. I don't think you'll find it difficult to patch, but that would allow you to do things like use the first H90 for maybe, say, pitch, you know, like the EVH detune kind of thing, or even a harmony thing. Like if you're going to run, like sometimes I use the H90 for harmonies, like playing Eagle songs or something where you want to do a harmony guitar part, a diatonic harmony. So you'd want to run into that first, right? And then you could add the delay after that, and then do the reverb. It's kind of funny. I've had good luck using the harmonizer to do actual harmonies, diatonic harmonies, in the effect loop of an amp. It's not kind of the common thinking that's, you know, usually you'd want to, people think run into it first, like in front of the amplifier, and then it reads right out of the guitar, kind of. But I find it works quite well and almost sounds more hi-fi when you run it in the effect loop. It's a little trick if you do any kind of diatonic harmony. That's loud. And you're used to using a harmonizer in front of the amp. Try it in the loop and see if you think it sounds better or worse. You know, that kind of thing. So. Eric says, I love St. Augustine. Believe it's the oldest city or settlement in the U.S. Really? Seriously badass churches and old Spanish architecture. I'm not going to get out there to see it today, I doubt, but I could try and go for a little walk later. That's what happens when you tour, and especially when you do a live stream the same day, because I'm going to be here all day probably. But that's cool to know for next time. Yeah. Danielle says, heading out to open mic with the Henriksen Bud 6, I could never lift those Sur amps you use. PT15 weighs like 23 pounds. It's nothing. It's very light, actually. That and the 112 is a pretty portable little rig. Same guitars. Yeah, I'm using the same stuff I used in the rig rundown from last year. So it's two 112s and Quad Cortex. Yeah, and Matrix Power Amp. Yep. Jim and Ed says, that's right. Good guys. If you just tuned in, you missed Jim and Ed from BNL making fun of me. Yeah, best kisser in the trailer park. That's right. Let's see. Just reading through your comments and stuff here. There's a couple super chats. Let's grab those. Can you elaborate or maybe do a video on using the Boss EVH delay along with the Eventide micro pitch? I will do that because I'm actually going to integrate it into my rig using a mixer, which if you want to stay true dry through and all that, analog dry through, you need to do. So I'm going to run them both into parallel, the parallelizer from Musicom Lab, use them in the effect loop of my amps. That's going to be my next rig. So I'm tearing up the pedal board a little bit when I get back to LA and having Dave Friedman do that stuff to my board. I've never done a parallel rig, and I figure it's time to give it a try, and it might be really fun. The PT100s and 15s and stuff, they have such good loops, and the new PT50 when it comes will have an amazing loop. And so just gonna do 2 amps. I'm not gonna do wet dry wet, but I'm gonna do stereo, 2 amps, effects in parallel in the loop, and should be cool. Yeah, I heard the Eagles are doing on tour again. Do you think he'll get a call? Well, not unless Joe Walsh doesn't want to go. It'll be the I'm sure the same lineup that they've been doing for a number of years now. They've got Vince Gill. They don't need me. With Joe and Stuart Smith, of course. T-Top, the super chat. I'm building a board for your friend and mine, Mr. Bobby Harrison. Oh, cool. Based around a QC. First experience with one, such a beautifully designed unit. It really is. Hadn't had to crack a manual. That's my experience with it. Thanks for the super chat, T-Top. Yeah, it's just an awesome, easy to use, from that side of things, absolutely, and it happens to sound great, I find. I actually really love my sound out here right now. Like, every night just sounds great. I'm very happy with it. Got the 112 spread nice and wide, and I get a full stereo kind of thing, and I don't even think about it. It just feels really good to play. That's the best, I've been watching the tour videos now. A big fan of Five for Fighting. Great to see Delamitri guys. Always love that band. They're such sweet dudes, and they're so good. They sing like birds, and it's awesome. Do you rest on gig days? Well, I'm not really working that hard right now, I feel like, When you sleep on a bus, like we do, you pull that curtain closed and it's black in there and kind of quiet, and you can just sleep till whenever, because you don't really have to go to work till 2:30 or 3 in the afternoon. So I'm still on West Coast time. I get up at like 11 every day, and then I stay up till 2 in the morning. And then I just fall asleep in the bunk and get up and roll in here and coffee, screw around for a couple hours and do stuff like this, Kind of basically what you see me doing, Dressing rooms down the hall there, and you go in there and everybody's sitting on their computer doing editing or finishing sessions that they were working on, and, you just kind of, it's not really that taxing, I find. It's not like super taxing, so it's pretty straightforward. What else you guys talking about? Let's see. Building a replica PT15 212. Cool. Cav is built. Just need to get the speakers. Speakers. Get them. Get those speakers. Get a couple greenbacks or whatever you think. Are you playing a Floyd Rose bridge guitars? Yeah, I've always got guitars with Floyds. I've got a Sir Modern. I got that black kind of Particicaster one. I actually want to get a signature with a Floyd on it, like my guitar, but with the Floyd, basically. Ooh. Thunder. Should we go out and take a look and see what the weather looks like out there? Doesn't really look like it's... Oh yeah, it's raining. It's not like torrential rain, but it's definitely raining out there. You can't tell, but it is. So nothing on stage, and we have to wait basically for all this to pass before we can do more, before we can make noise. So it's a perfect time to talk on the internet. What else you guys talking about? In 2023, what cab IRs do you like to use? On the last tour for Classic Rock Show, when I was using IRs with them, I used a York of a greenback in a 412. I think it was maybe one of the Friedman cabinets. It's really coming down now. And it sounded really, really good, I thought. And so you can hear that actually in the Back in Black video. We just put up a video, or the Classic Rock Show team did, of us doing Back in Black in Cambridge. And that's a proper mix with the IR, nice, and you can hear it clear as bell in that video. So you can check that out if you want to see what you think of that. It sounds really good to me. It's great in PA. So out here I'm using, I think the cabs in the Quad Cortex are fantastic. And so I've never felt a need to look beyond those when I'm using it. And I use a Vox, I think it's the 65, whatever the Vox combo is in the Quad. I pull that up and I use a blend of, I think, a 160 and a 57, I think is what I ended up with, or maybe it's a condenser and a 57. You know how you can switch the mics in the Quad, but it's the Quad internal speaker simulation that I'm using, and it sounds terrific in the board mixes I've heard and stuff. It's just a really, really good sounding kind of Vox Celestian blue sort of tone. I haven't looked at it since I set it up last year, so I'd have to open up the Quad and actually take a look and see what the exact... I could show you what the settings I use are. But anyway...
Are we clear to go back out?
I know you have your Thorn Buckers, but any experience with Sir Doug Aldrich? Yes, I have them in my Modern. So that's the one guitar I have with the Aldrich humbuckers. I just left them in there, that's what it came with. They sound good. I have wanted to experiment with some other stuff in that guitar, just to see what they sound like. Like maybe a hot, whatever they call the designation for the SSH plus, I think, or SSH. An SSH I would probably put in there, which I think is about a 12K pickup. I would like to try that maybe. And then maybe keep the Aldrich neck humbucker as, I think, essentially like an SSV, or maybe put a Thornbucker neck, but that might be a bit of a mismatch. I don't know. Anyways. Okay, let's see what else. Welcome to all joining in, says Ben. I agree. Hi, Ben. How's it going up there in Canada? Recently learned about the Sound Sculpture Switchblade. Not cheap, but looks really cool. That's a switching... That's a foot pedal, right? I can't remember if it's also a rack mount switcher. I think it is, right? That allows you to switch everything. Pedals and rack effects and whole 9 yards. I think Steve Stevens used to use one. Braxall says, do you find that the EVH SDE outputs are low? I also find having the SDE 3000 plugged in causes a lot of 60-cycle hum without anything plugged in. Well, you got a ground loop happening then. So they shipped ground loop cables with it. And you've also got a lift for the input side, or for the loop. So experiment with that. You're going to want to lift the send to the amp using that if you've got. But those little cables they ship with it, those break ground. So that's why we insisted those come with the unit because people are going to try different rigs with stereo or, Are you running it in stereo when you find that? Start off with it in mono, 1 amp, and see if you have issues. Like plug it in front of the amp, listen, and then plug it in the, or are you just using it in the loop? If you're just using it, like either in front or in the loop, input, output, that's it. You shouldn't have any kind of ground loop. If you run into it and then use the loop in the SDE to patch into the preamp of your amp and then go into the effect loop and come back out so you can use the noise suppressor and all that, you're going to probably need to experiment with that switch. And then you may or may not, depending on your amplifier and your loop and stuff, also need to use one of the little cables that is included in order to, reduce any kind of or eliminate any kind of noise. Now, if you're running in stereo, where you go to 2 amps, most likely you're going to have ground loop because you're connected. You got 2 paths to ground then. So then you're going to need to use one of those cables once again. But that's why we gave you 3, so that you can, that was something that we came up with in order to just allow you to interface with any rig. So try all that. Output's low, no. The way that it ships, you're going to want to make sure that it's set levels right for your rig. So I find the minus, there's 3 different levels. You can go +4, like -10 or -12 and -20. If you're using single coils and you're running in front of an amp, you're probably fine with the -20. Otherwise, I'd probably use the -12. I think it's -12, not -15, or -10. But the middle gain setting when you set the gain, and there's a whole thing that I go through in the video that I did for it, where I explain how to set this stuff using the left arrow and stuff. And there's an input level meter, and you can check your gains. So just go through and watch that video. It was my deep dive video. It's in there somewhere, right in the middle, the gain setting procedure. Just check all that stuff and make sure that the meter's not pinning or anything like that. But the outputs should be pretty close to unity. Now, you've got lots of provision in there to change the input and output level. If you need to boost the direct level, if you want to boost the output, it's all in there in the input and output page. There's ways to get in there and change the levels coming out of the thing. But especially if you use the analog bypass mode, you shouldn't have any issues with any of that stuff. If you're using a DSP, the way it ships should be unity, but just double check. And there's a way to get it to where you want, for sure. So, hello, what's happening? It was John Andrazik, 5 for Fighting. When running stereo, do you generally want 2 amps of the same wattage? Yeah, I mean, if both amps have masters, you should be okay to balance them. But you could use a 50 and a 100. You're just going to have to turn the 100 down, That's all. And kind of balance using your ears, That's a thing. The more amps you add, you're always messing with stuff to add, to balance things and figure it out. I'm just going to look on stage and make sure I'm not needed. I think I'm not. No way. You see from what it looked like a few minutes ago that everything is gone. So if you were here at the beginning, that stage was full of gear. They can move stuff super quick with everything on risers. For those that joined recently, I might as well just, there's an accordion. How about that? That still works even with the power off. I was just going to show you those, see that orange amp in the, that's Ed's, I believe. He's got that combo in an ISO cab. They just close the lid on that. And then the 2 road cases right behind there are ISO cabs for heads. These 2 heads that you see over here, which are made in Columbus, Ohio. Ooh, these ones. And that's Kevin's amp rig. And they're kind of like deluxes. And he runs them into those ISO cabs. Just hears them in his in-ears. And when we do the encore, we all get up and play a song. I play guitar. I go out there and I play Ed's rig because he's just singing. And so I guess I'm playing through that orange. I don't even actually know, but I think I am playing through that orange. with a kind of semi-dirty tone, and I'm on in-ears for that. About to make a video on these new in-ears that I've got, Ultimate Ears. I've self-filmed, I just need to edit it up. But that's the one track. Hey. That's the one track I'm using in-ears on, and it sounds great. I just got a nice mix and playing through Ed's rig. I'm not even using my guitar. I'm using a custom Junior of some sort. And having fun. In your opinion, do the Quad Cortex cabs default position translate to the sweet spot? Kind of. Yeah, I generally actually darken them a little for live use. I find it's a little bright, so I'll tend to move the mic a little further out into the speaker, out into the what would be the paper, you know, on the quad, and that works good for me. It's about noon. Great to have you here. We got about 250 people here. Good to see you guys. Let's see. I haven't toured in some time. I think I've become domesticated. That happened to a lot of us during the pandemic. It was actually a little weird getting back into it. It was sort of euphoric, the first tour I did afterwards. But like a lot of us, I think we've also realized we do like being home, you know, and maybe that's just also getting older and stuff, but you know, I still love a balance of it, but I do really love being home these days too. There was a time where probably like I could just be out all the time, you know. It's changing a little bit as I get older. There's Ryan. What's up, man? Who's going to work in Japan? Tell us. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. I miss Japan. Actually thinking about, having said what I just said, we're thinking about taking a trip to Japan later this year. I'm not going for work or anything, but just to go. Maybe I can work in a clinic or something too, but I would love to just go and have fun just as a vacation because I miss that place. Are you going to use live musicians on your next solo project? Yeah, absolutely. Probably do all live drums. Unless I get into doing a tune that's kind of, you know, electronic and requires, you know, a different perspective, different kind of approach. But yeah, I'm planning on doing doing it kind of quick. That's my thing. I want to knock it out kind of quick and not do a ton of overdubs. Just good arrangements, tight arrangements with like sparse, you know. I want to make it simple and good, but simple, you know, without being too overblown or too many layers. In your studio, Q-Stick says with a super chat, what do you think you gain or lose when miking a cab versus the aux reactive load and IRs? I mean, a good IR can sound sort of indistinguishable these days, but that said, I don't know, there is something when I go to my cab that always just is the sound of air moving. Our sound guy Chris, who just walked by a couple minutes ago, he mentioned about the quad that he feels like one of the things about it is it's not flat sounding. He feels like it's like you can feel a speaker moving sometimes with some of the things, like it almost farts out or gives up in a way that every now and then I hit the front end with a bit of a clean boost coming from a Sir Coco, and he feels, I bet it's when I do that he feels like it's almost giving up like an amp would, and there's a 3D sort of thing to it that sounds real, and I love that because that's the only thing with modeling is it can sound really good and the balance of the tone can sound good and all that, but every now and then it doesn't. I don't know if you guys feel that, but there's a bit of a flat 2D as opposed to 3D thing to it. And I find that with a lot of modeling, and it just kind of, you know, and but that's the thing that you can get if you've got a cabinet and mics and stuff in the studio, and it's set just right. When you find that magic combo and it's set just right, and then you can just plug in and go to it like instantly, it always sounds like that, and it's killer. It just has a thing. There's Hurley. Oh, dude, show us your bass. Come on.
So excited.
So Sean just bought a bass today. He's been talking about this for weeks. Give us a little history on when you were a kid.
Okay, so I was in middle school,
Okay.
7th or 8th grade, so it's got to be 1986. I went to a store in Albany, New York, and I
Okay.
bought the best bass for the price I could get.
Yeah.
It was $650, Kramer era, and NS2A
Spectre.
It was black. I sold it before I even hit high school, like 2 years later.
Right.
And I've regretted it the last 30 years.
30 years.
Until I hopped on a plane to join a tour with Pete, Thorn, and I noticed this on Reverb, near. I decided to go with what was available.
Come on.
Like, look at that. Other than having the dots, which I'm okay with, it's just so identical and so iconic to the Sting bass.
May I see? I'm not
Yeah,
gonna drop
I mean,
it. Yeah.
you could barely find a scratch on it. And it's from 80 something. I gotta check the listing. Around your finger.
Right. Yeah. This. Oh, it's light.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. You gotta play this tonight.
Oh man, I know. I just gotta get it set up and dialed in, and
I think these are okay.
they're probably fine. I'll hit them with some fingeries or something, just make sure they're not.
And it's wet.
Yeah, I know, right? It's
Yeah.
this temperature.
It's like the guitars get wet out here, like
I know.
covered in.
You take them out of the case.
Yeah.
It is
A
sweating.
sheen, a
It's
sheen.
a sheen.
That is beautiful.
But I'm
That's
so
awesome.
excited.
So that's a nice surprise for Sunday Live today. Sean's new bass. So it's very much like my Warwick. But
Unboxing.
my Warwick would be substantially heavier than that. So it's interesting. It's probably totally different wood and stuff. But
Yeah, I'll have to
similar.
find out what they were doing, because this is Kramer might have been cutting costs. It might have been.
Yeah, we'll
some
search for the
lighter
serial
wood.
number and figure out what it is and stuff. Yeah.
We'll do the research. I'll be back.
Congratulations. A guy went and literally met him in the parking lot with that. He's been talking about it for weeks, about getting this bass. So, pretty cool. Are most shows outdoors, says Ryan? Yes. We've done a few indoors, maybe 3, 4, but everything else has been outdoors. Will the gig go ahead with lightning? You know, it depends where you are. And the local kind of rules and stuff. I'm not really sure about that, to tell you the truth. Like what would happen if there was a lightning storm during the gig. In the past, I've done gig. I remember doing a gig with Ultimate Queen Celebration with Mark Martel. It was in West Virginia. They cleared everybody out of the venue. So they'd let everybody in, and then before the gig, they made everybody leave out to the parking lot. It's a liability thing, I guess. And then they let everybody back in, and we did the set and only cut a couple songs. I thought this gig's not going to happen, and everybody came back in out of the parking lot, out of their cars or whatever, and we did the shows. So it just depends, I think. Yeah. There's a new Petrucci IR collection coming. That is true, and I may be doing a video for that. I've talked to them about it, so we're in contact. What do artists usually look for in a guitarist these days? Just somebody that doesn't screw up and is a fun hang and isn't like, falling apart. No, I mean like, it's a lot of things. I always say you have to be able to play. That's like of course you got to be able to play the parts, and that's a given. Like okay, now let's just get that out of the way. What's all the other stuff? Like being a fun hang and good vibe, not a complainer, that kind of stuff. That's the most important stuff. Yeah. What else you guys talking about? Let's see. I'm getting a Tone Master Deluxe Reverb. Okay. And the amount of hate I'm getting is weird, considering the amount of guys using Quad Cortex and Tone X. Weird double standard. You should just take the Tone X or the Tone Master label off of it or whatever, and just tell everybody it's a tube one and see what everybody says. That amp sounds great. Tell them it's vintage, and see if anybody. Right? Wow, your new amp sounds so good, right?
Gotcha.
I mean, if it works, it works, man. So many ways to go at it these days, It says St. Augustine weather. See, this is the great thing about the internet. We can get the weather from you guys. Supposed to clear up sometime around 5 or 6 and start raining again around 10. Well, that'll be perfect for the show. Should be good. Even if it rained till 5 and then we were able to roll everything out on stage, we'd still be able to do the show, because the show doesn't really start till, although it is early tonight. I think 6 is when Delametry's supposed to start. Weimer maybe 7. Don't quote me on that, but it is an earlier day today. I can look in Master Tour and find out. So when you tour these days, instead of day sheets, everybody uses an app, because there's an app for everything, but it's called Master Tour, and you got all your dates in there, and you can look and see the schedule for the day. And the schedule for today says doors are at 5. 5 for Fighting, 7 p.m. Telemetry, 6 p.m. BNL, 8 p.m. to 9:30. So if it quits around 6, that we would still have a show, you know, even if it didn't quit till 6, they could build the stage and we would just do a line check and go out and throw and go, you know, no sound check. We might not have a sound check today. If I was hoping to do a little sound check thing with you guys, but it's totally dependent on the weather right now, so we will see. We will see. Every day down on the kind of last week of this run, sort of southeast, has been somewhat rainy during the day. Nerd Halen, what's up, man? He says, still waiting on an EVH delay from Sweetwater, but wet, dry, wet is weeks away. We can figure it out, my friend. But it's pretty easy, really. You just have to put all your effects into kill dry, and then plug them into the thing, and then you just turn up the knobs, literally, on the parallelizer. You got your 4 knobs there, one for each effect and one for the dry. And you want to kind of do it so that turn off all the effects and then bring up the dry and make sure the dry is the same whether you've got the loop patched in or not. So just unplug the send and return, plug in the send and return, and make sure your dry is about the exact same volume, and then blend in the effects. And there you go. That's it, really. Unity gain, all that good stuff. This is from Ryan. Watching that EVH deep dive vid for the 110th time on the VH1 slapjack delay. How many ms do you or milliseconds do you set it for? I think it's 360 was his time, something like that. Do you think he had the delay before or after the phaser flanger? Delay was last. So I believe it was flanger, phaser, for whatever reason, and then last was the Echoplex, and then into the amp. And then occasionally he would patch in an MXR or Boss EQ. That was probably after the Echoplex, I would think, to drive that would be line driver to, you know, he got those when they were on the Japan tour in '78, I think. Yeah, started using it. Yeah. I use a 1987X with the power station and a Badger 35 in stereo. Yeah, that's 2 pretty different amps. 35 watt cathode bias and a 50, and yeah, if you just balance the masters, you're good, right? With the, you know, yeah. Okay, what else we got? How about a thumbs up for Pete? He's worth it. Hey, thanks. Yeah, hit the thumbs up if you're watching. Helps to spread the video far and wide. Keeps the show going. Can you please go over the difference between a treble bleed and a high-pass filter? Well, technically, I don't know if there is a difference. I'd have to ask Sir about that. I mean, as it relates to, say, a guitar pot and using a treble bleed circuit. Not 100% sure. But it's kind of similar. I mean, like when you're rolling down the volume pot on the guitar, essentially, a certain amount of top end is still getting through, although it will go to 0 eventually. So I'm not sure exactly why, but the preferred, so somebody out there can probably describe in the chat, they'll know technically better than me, but there's a cap and a resistor that you tie together. You know, some people just used to use just a capacitor to do it, but it seemed to be more unnatural when you dial it down. So for some reason, when you combine a cap and a resistor, it does something to the taper as you're turning it down that keeps a relatively consistent sound all the way down. And it's allowing high end to pass through unobstructed. I don't really understand why, but somebody in the chat is gonna talk about that. Technically, a high pass filter just means that you're rolling off low end below a certain point and letting all the highs through, passing the highs. I'm far back in the chat because you guys are talking about the accordion that I showed 20 minutes ago. So I'm gonna go way down here in the chat and see what you guys are talking about towards the bottom. How would you rate yourself as a backup singer? I'm okay. You know, do you like doing it? I do these days, actually. We're given a lot of responsibility on this current gig. We split it up last year and I picked a couple of parts and just kind of learned a couple things, in various songs. Randy took a couple things, Sean took a couple things, and it's pretty organic the way that it's come about, really. We just sort of grabbed things that we listened, that we heard on the records, and it's not anything we ever really discussed that much. And I had to kind of modify parts that I was doing because John will sing things live differently a little bit. So, you learn a part off the record, then you get in, you do a rehearsal, and you're like not locking up because he's changed his phrasing over the years or something, as singers sometimes do. So then you just kind of feel around it and find the right place. But no, to be honest, I feel like I sing better than I ever have these days, as far as pitch and feeling comfortable, and I feel pretty confident at it these days. And it's something I want to do more. I used to be less confident at it, I would say, but now I feel really good about it. So, but that said, I don't think I'm like a born singer like some people, It's something that I have to practice and work at a little bit, and yeah. What else are we talking about? Let's see. What's your favorite semi-hollow? My 63 335, my red one that you see me use sometimes. I've got that in my DG 335, which is also really nice. But the 63 is killer. Awesome. Just try to recall the last gig's sound check and go from there, says Todd. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about, but let's see if I can find context. I took my labels off my amp so people would be blown away when I say, yeah, I'm using a Crate DT50 Bogner. Yeah, just put other labels on there, some custom amp. Make your own up. What's that amp? Oh, it's Boutique. Somebody made it for me in Spain. It's fantastic. It'd be a Crate. Yeah. Okay, what else here? Let's see. Been thinking about getting back out. I'm just an old front of house guy. 57 with RA might not let me do the taking care of mom at the moment. What's RA? Not sure. Oh, 57 with RA. I see. It's not. I'm thinking an SM57. You're like, no, I'm 57 years old. I got it. Took me a minute. Well, it's amazing. It comes back fast. It's like riding a bike. You know how to do this. Are we a few years out from being replaced by AI? No. No. I went to see the ABBA thing in London, which was really fun. We had a great time. But it was. Here's one thing I noticed is that it's basically it's not quite. They say it's holograms, right? They don't have something projecting holograms on stage. What they've got is a giant LED screen, which are incredible these days. Everybody's using them. There's real depth to them. They look amazing, but it's still a big screen. And they've filmed holograms, and they're just showing that on the screen. Now, they implement it so well that you can't tell where, like, the real lighting rig is in the venue and where the fake one that's just on the screen starts. It looks like flawless. It's quite a dark experience, like the stage, but there'll be like a spotlight coming down, and you're like, is that coming from a lighting rig, or is it just on the LED screen? And it'll be lighting up one of the people in ABBA was a hologram, right? There's a real band playing the music up there, and they do showcase them every now and then. And at one moment in the show, they really showcase the band, and the energy when they showcased the band and people responded to the real people playing was pretty palpable. And I thought, I took note, like, it's a cool thing you're watching, and it's an experience, but it's not, and it is probably going to go, beyond where it's at now. I suppose we're just at the beginning of this kind of stuff, but it's not the same, man, still, and the real players, there's real stuff happening up there, and it's got an energy to it that people were responding to. So, does that make sense? So, I don't think that we're there. There's never going to be a, if it's AI, it's like, can it improvise, Can it, what if, I don't know, a string breaks or something funny happens on stage, or there's a joke that they even had, like in the ABBA show, there was like little jokes and things they were making that were supposed to be sort of like almost like spontaneous sounding, but it wasn't like, it was cool and everything, but it wasn't like you knew you were watching something that wasn't real, right? Does that make sense? So, I don't know. Live music will always be live music, I feel like, unless there's like actual like humanoid robots up there playing, you know. Is Tsuyoshi Negabuchi? He is touring this year. I'm not going, so it's a bummer because I wish I was going to Japan to do it. But there's two things with that, which are the yen to the dollar is insane right now, so it would be very expensive for him to bring over the American band. Like, it's like crazy right now. The last time I looked, it was 141 to the dollar, 141 yen to the dollar. It's usually somewhere around 100 or 105 or 110. And the other thing is, the way he's touring this year, there's massive breaks in between the gigs. There could be as long as a week of downtime in between the gigs. So when the schedule's like that, imagine bringing a guy like me over and having to pay me every day and put me up in a hotel in an expensive city like Tokyo, for a week at a time. So that's pretty cost prohibitive. So it didn't make sense this year, although they were considering it. So he's got a tour, some dates booked for this year, but I won't be there, which is sad. I want to go, you know. I hope it happens again. It's one of those things where, you know, I fell in love with that place, going over there and doing it, and all the times I've been even doing other things and stuff. And when you come back, you're like, will this ever happen again? You know? And you don't know, you know. It might. I hope it does. Or I hope I can get a gig with someone else, you know. If anybody knows anybody else, I'd love to go there and play with other folks as well. So it just depends, you know. But that's the reality of touring. It's important to be present when you're doing this stuff, because you never know if it's going to happen again. You know, this tour, you know, will I ever tour? You know, it's fun and making friends with these people. Will you ever tour with Bare Naked Ladies again, or Del Mitri? Will you ever, you know, you never know. So you want to be present and really try and have a good time, and not let silly little things every day, things get you down or anything like that, because you got to be like, hey, this is like, we're living right now. This is it. So stay in it and, be present and all. That's really important, I think. Yeah. Guitar Ninja seems like the studio recordings from the 80s and 90s have stood the test of time, although there were less tracks and less technology. I would argue by the 80s and 90s there was quite a few tracks. I mean, people were doing 48 by the 80s, but do you feel like today's music is overproduced? Not necessarily. I mean, people are doing great stuff the thing is, you have the options these days. But I always go to, if you want to listen to it's 10 years old now, but a relatively recent recording that I find classic and timeless and amazing sounding is Beck's Morning Phase album. It won Grammy for Album of the Year in 2013. It's absolutely beautiful. It's like Brian Wilson level beautiful. The strings and it's so organic and kind of acoustic, piano, acoustic guitar, real instruments, a little bit of electronic stuff, but not really. It's mainly just people playing, and it's so gorgeous. So you can do stuff like that, or Amy Winehouse, or those recordings. I was so happy actually when those recordings around 2013 and Amy and started getting popular when she did it, because by the early 2000s was a little bit sonically, for me, a difficult time. The 90s was great. Into 2000, 2005, 6 was like, and then maybe around 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13 with Beck's album and stuff, I started to hear these really organic recordings happening. That was like, thank God, like there's no auto-tune on Amy Winehouse, and it just sounded like stellar musicians playing great music, captured really beautifully. So it's what you make of it, and then Billie Eilish comes along and like does her thing where they're recording in a bedroom and still doing really cool stuff. Like I was a big fan when she first came out, and her and Phineas and I like his music too, her brother and his production, and he's basically using a laptop and he's got more now, I'm sure, but it was simple, and they were writing the biggest songs on earth at the time, so it's interesting. So Super Unknown sounds like it could have been released today. So yeah, it's pretty timeless sounding. I mean, that and Down on the Upside, also a really great organic. It's just well recorded and tastefully done and mixed, so that there wasn't a sonic stamp of a time on it, gated reverb or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't. Recordings in the 90s got away from 80s sheen and ended up being a little warmer and a little more organic, and people were still recording mainly analog until the late 90s started shifting over to Pro Tools and stuff. So it was a magic time in sonics, I think. I mean, a lot of stuff that came out in the mid 90s is pretty great sounding. Music Life with Arthur says, I hate drum tones these days. I hate that drums sound like the whole Pro Tools stale junk. The drums from the 70s sound amazing. Well, yeah, but like listen to the Beck record, like I say, these days there's stuff coming out that sounds incredible to me. Radiohead, I mean, like In Rainbows, it's older now, but it's like when this, I consider them still relatively, even though they're not, I guess, but somewhat recent records, and they sound so good, so there's still good stuff out there, so it's a mixture of everything, Same as In Utero still sounds relevant recording wise and subject. Yeah, well, Steve Albini, great choices. I do the overly sort of super compressed, in your face, really aggressively limited stuff does bother me a little bit. That I could do without, But I'm gonna take a look at the stage one more time, guys, and just see if I gotta go to work soon, if they're building anything. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, things are starting to happen. So in about 10 minutes, I'll go back out there and we'll probably be doing some sort of check, I would think. So, still thunder out there, but I'll give it another look in a few minutes to see what's going on. We have a new tech this week. Our other tech left this week, and we've got a new fellow that flew out from LA, and he's doing a great job. He came in he got here his flight got him in 6:30. So by the time he got to the gig, it was like 10 minutes before our set the other day, and he just kind of hit the ground running, to show up right from the airport, and then never met any of these people, and he flew in from LA, and he was a recommendation from a friend of mine. And he's been doing awesome. So his name's Jake, and so he's out there building the stage right now. And yeah. Hey, how's it going? That's Chris from Delamitri, great guitar player. Used to be in The Damned as well. Pro Cash Floyd says piracy really killed big budget analog recording. Yeah, and just piracy was the beginning of it, but then streaming and the way the industry changed, there just isn't as much money in it anymore. So at the same time, I would say that just the style of, cost of recording quality, to be able to do a good recording came down. I did drums on my last record using a UA interface and a bunch of mics I set up in a room, and I kind of know how to do that, and I got a good drum sound, I think, on songs like Remember on my last record, or I forget my own song titles, L'Avenir, that's Kurt Biscara playing drums, and I did the recording, and it sounds good. So it's like, as all this stuff was happening to the industry and changing the way that people were purchasing, consuming, stealing music, there was also a reduction in the cost of the gear that it, allowed us all to get things. So it all kind of happened at the same time. The digital thing that kind of killed the traditional industry also helped people like me do things like I'm doing with you right now, to be able to own a laptop and be able to connect with people. So, anyways, let's see, there's a super chat. live sound check live show was such a gem. Thanks. I had the only problem was the echo cancellation was on, which made the sound pretty horrendous when I listened back to it. I didn't realize that was happening. But today, we're going to do it again, hopefully in a few minutes. We'll see. And it should sound, much clearer. It still won't be a board mix or anything. It's just going to be a mic on my laptop, but it won't have that weird, digital algorithm thing going on. So hang out if you can. Hopefully we will do a check in a few minutes. I can't promise because we've got a weather situation, so we'll see what's going on. But have you tried your Thornbuckers in an SG? No. I only own one SG, and it's got the original pickups, which it's a 2000, I think, or 2001 or 99 it was made. And so it had the 498T or whatever those pickups were. I think it's like a 14K kind of hot Alnico 5 jobby in the bridge. And I just never changed them. I should, though. I should try changing them. Maybe put a Thornbucker 2 in the bridge or something and, see what that sounds like, But the truth is I kind of like the pickups in the guitar. I never experimented. You can see me playing it in that video for Back in Black, the Classic Rock Show just uploaded. If you look for Classic Rock Show 2023 Back in Black, it'll pop up, and you can hear that guitar through my SL68 and the York IR. Somebody was asking about the IR I used, and you can hear it clear as a bell in that. Yeah. Joe Walsh recently said he won't pay attention to AI until it can destroy a hotel room. That's awesome. I'm not going to pay attention to AI until it destroy a hotel room. Yeah. Joe. All right. I must go get cilantro. Go get it. You obviously don't have a cilantro allergy or sensitivity, like some folks. What was the light blue or light green guitar you were playing recently? I have no idea. And why don't we go take a look and see? I feel like I'm super jacked up on this coffee, and I kind of want more, but I probably shouldn't. I've had 3 cups of coffee today already, and that includes one giant thing of look at that. Got Taylor. This is Ian's, right?
Yeah.
Like, Ian from Delamitri. Taylor, beautiful. That's nice. That's good. That's it. It's like a J200, eh?
Yeah, it's like
That's beautiful. Maple. I've never seen that one. Is it old?
Yeah, it's pretty old.
Is it?
Black and
Okay, that's fun. You never know what you're going to see around here. I never saw that up close, but... All right, you can hear pink noise in the PA. Shooting the PA. There's the guitar over there that I've been playing a little bit recently, and I'm sorry, hopefully the chat won't drop out here because I'm getting further away from the Wi-Fi. It is called a Monty. Monty. You can see, there it is. I don't want to take it out because it's not mine and I don't want to assume, but it's got a single P90 and it's like a Les Paul Jr. It looks like it's got an adjustable, maybe Schaller bridge on it, a volume and a tone, and that's what I've been playing on the Encore when I go out every night through Ed's rig, amp rig. I better hang out here because it looks like we are quite close to getting some sounds. I'm gonna find a place for this computer so you guys can kind of hear the stage today. Maybe I want to put it down where it's way over here. Maybe on this pile of cables. Bear with me here. So again, I'm going to try and get a vantage point for the stage here for Soundcheck. There's a super chat I should grab before I go to work here. It just disappeared. Is that from Javier? Oh, did that one already. Okay, so now we're going to do it all again. And hopefully it sounds better. I hope so. I turned off the echo cancellation, set the mic to auto gain, and I can only hope that the sound is significantly better than last week. So bear with me for a sec. I'm gonna go and see how close I am to getting up and running here. There's Jake, our new tech. Looks like he's on it. Got the quad cortex all figured out. All right, I'll be back. So, Jake's setting my. He's got to get the wireless packs, get the frequencies from Justin, which is Bare Naked Ladies monitor guy, and he's going to give him like some clean frequencies. They sweep every day. Your frequency for today is 594.38, and your backup is whatever. And then he dials in my Accient wireless to be exactly that, and that keeps things clean. Oh, somebody said I've lost bandwidth. Is the stream not good right now, or am I back? You guys just tell me if it sucks or not. I can move the computer further to the back of the stage, but then you're not gonna be able to see as well. So, Wi-Fi is on the edge. What if you switch to cell service? Cell sucks here. So I can't see it being out. So rather than do that, I'd probably just sign off. You know. But I can move the computer further to the back of the stage, but yeah, it's fine. Says Trolls to Jamie. It's decent at the moment. Okay, yeah, it's probably just kind of gonna be in and out. You know. I see that I've got one, yeah, it's up to 2 bars now. So, yeah, back now, buffering a bit. Probably just kind of gonna be the way it is, you know? All right. So that's Jake over there setting my wireless frequencies. And once he does that, then I can plug in and get some sounds going, make my hands work. You guys can hear okay? Hopefully the sound doesn't suck. Looks like the stream's working, so. I think I got all the super chats. Yes!
Still hear each one of one speaker now.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. What else we got here?
Hey, yeah, there we go.
So you find it's distorting a little bit. I'll turn down the mic manually. I can do that. So I'll wait for some loud stuff to come up here, and I'll just check the.
Center stage. Yeah, hey, 1, 2. All right, cool. Good.
That should be better. Better have the volume.
Yeah, 1, 2.
That's loud. So let me know if that sounds distorted. Just turn my mic gain way down. Might be a little low, but it should be clear at least. The guitar sounds good, but can't say much for the rest. You're behind the PA. So, you know, but once we start playing, you'll get some drums and stuff on stage. Let me know if that sounds better. Less distorted, a little good. Still a bit over, maybe take it down a bit more. Okay. Let's do this together. I like this.
Hey, 1, 2. Hey, yeah.
It's gonna be roomy, but is that better? Should be better.
What did you want to take out there? Hey, check 1, 2. That's 4 for you. There you go. Okay. Yeah, check 1, 2. That's it. Oh. Now you're doing it. Hey, oh, check 1. Yeah. Grand illusion. This is the grand illusion. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2 This is a piano called the Grand Illusion. It's amazing. Grand Illusion.
Pete should ask how Rhett gets such good stage. Rhett's not on a stage like this doing Soundcheck. No, I love Rhett. It's just a computer mic, guys. So it is what it is. I could go put a mic out front and everything, but this is down and dirty on the road. Does it sound okay and not blowing up the low end too much, or much better with headphones on? Okay, good. Well, it'll be what it is. That mic can't handle the SPL. Well, it is what it is. I tried. I'm gonna look at the mic gain one more time. Next week I could try using my phone. I've got a little Shure microphone for it. That'll work. But
There's a lot of low end up right where we're
do something. My road case and put the computer on top of that. It's not probably in a big base here. There's no easy way to do this. I lose the Wi-Fi signal if I take the computer too far away. Maybe this place on the stage will sound a little better. We'll see. Anyway, sorry if it sucks, but it is what it is.
You think we're more top end on a click? You were more tapping on a click? Yes. See, now this is gone. Well, but for the first 10 shows, it was fine. Yeah, just frame it. Just frame it. Yeah.
Seth, you might also make sure there's not like some sort of compressor on his mix.
Yeah, let's just slide over. I think there's a little bit of that. This is kind of going away.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I put a high stuff on it. Let me take a little low mid out of it, just because it kind of that low mid's kind of get buried. So we have a little more attack on it. I made them just grab my compressor and take a little.
And maybe turn the shaker down. Yeah, I don't hear it. It's just here. A compressor and limiter?
No, there's no limiting, it's just straight up.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate the super chat. I'm trying to solve some issues with inner stuff right now for John.
Okay, it's riveting, dude.
We can also check his pack, see if he's got a liver on it.
Yeah, that's true. Let's look at that. Maybe Seth, take a look at the pack and see if it's liver or not. For giggles, what if, can we kind of shake it out a little bit? Maybe give it a little more space. Oh, maybe. Be careful, man. Are you bleeding? You okay?
Yeah, you're probably turning it down in the mix. I'll come and show you.
We got like 20 minutes.
car battery. What else we got here? Let's see. Where's the venue? Just a couple noodles. We are in St. Augustine, Florida. Florida, lovely Florida. What else you guys talking about? Love that dude's voice. He's a great singer, a great songwriter. Looks hot and steamy. It is steamy as hell. It's not the hottest day we've had. I'll say that, but it is really humid. It is super humid. Yeah, Rhett records separately and mixes with the video after. Yeah, I mean, this is live, you know. We're doing live. So it's like, I'm not doing that, but I could. Well, if it doesn't sound good, maybe I should just bag it this week, you guys. We've gone for a while as it is, so next week I'll try using my phone. I've got a Shure microphone that they called an M88, I think, that they gave me, MV88, and it's made specifically for, you know, it's a pro stereo microphone, and so I'll try doing this on my phone next week, and we'll see what that sounds like. But I'm gonna go. If it doesn't sound good, there's no point, and I'll probably edit out the whole back end up till now, until I say goodbye. So thanks for joining, and we're gonna finish up, and I will see you guys next week, and I'll continue. It's a learning process, you know. But the Shure mic will be better next week on my phone. I was gonna try that today. I was thinking about it, and I thought, Wi-Fi might not be as good on the phone. Wi-Fi seemed better on the laptop, so I went this way. But anyways, thanks you guys for joining in. I'm home in 8 or 9 days, so that it's back to the studio and doing this back there anyway. But thanks for joining. See you next time.